Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Welcome back. Before the break, I was telling you about this amazing new book, relatively new, Behind Closed Doors, In the Room with Reagan and Nixon by Ken Khachigian. Now, Ken Khachigian is, without any question, already goes down in presidential history. He's one of the greatest presidential speechwriters. He worked with both presidents on a number of consequential speeches, but more importantly, he's a strategic thinker, and I think it was Anthony York who nailed it when he said that Ken Khachigian was an architect of Ronald Reagan's 1980 victory. It's because Ken's mind works strategically. He working with others, he elevated George Duke Majan to the governorship of California, and he's written an amazing book. But what I want is his take on politics today, because people don't change and the dynamics remain the same despite the fact that we're in the age of mass communications. Ken, welcome back to the Roger Stone Show.
Hey, Roger, always good to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
So what is your take here? You've got a lot of Republicans who are, the president calls them panicans, although Trump himself has admitted publicly, the president, that if the Democrats take the House, he will face another endless round of fake investigations and impeachments. What they're doing to Tulsi Gabbard is extraordinary. This is the same exact plot line that they use, where two operatives talk to each other. They report it to a third person. That third person becomes the whistleblower. And they classify it as if there's something wrong here. The whole thing is fabricated, exactly what the Vindman brothers did with Eric Ciamella, formerly the CIA, at that point worked for Adam Schiff. But they're going after Tulsi because she has uncovered the Russian collusion hoax. She's working on election integrity, and this scares the daylights out of the deep state. Anyway, Ken Khachigian. Tell me your thinking on 2026. I think, in politics today, a week is a lifetime. And the president is going to have a huge financial advantage because his PACs and the party is extremely well funded. The Democrats have virtually nothing. They're in debt, I believe. And that kind of balances out CNN and MSNBC and ABC, NBC, CBS, and the mass media, because now we get a chance to communicate our ideas our way. The famous Morning in America spots for Ronald Reagan, which Ken Khachigian, I believe, had a hand in, as a perfect example.
Well, there's no question. There's a lot of panic going on in the Republican ranks. So that's the state Senate race down in Texas. Got everybody a little nervous, but you're right. A month is a lifetime in politics. We're a long way from November, Roger. But the Republicans and the president need to get their message together. My concern is that the difficulty that the president and the Republicans have to deal with is not using stay the course message. That was the problem that we had back in 1982. Now I'm taking people back into history, but those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. And back in 1982, when Ronald Reagan was president, we were defending our congressional majorities, and I was brought in to work on President Reagan's midterm speech that he was going to take on the stump to help our candidates. And I was told, I was a good soldier, and I was told in writing that speech to listen to the pollsters. And I won't name names, but the pollsters said, the message, listen to the polls and watch the polls, and the polls should be stay the course. We're doing the right thing, and whatever what we're doing on the economic message is the right thing. And the tendency is to say, we need to protect our record, and we're doing the right thing, and we should stay the course. And that's not the right message, Roger. And I know everything. The tendency is for the president and the Republicans to say, "Look, we've done a lot. We've had a lot of success. The economy's in good shape. Unemployment is low. The stock market's doing great." And the tendency is to say, "Let's defend this and let's stay the course." And if the Democrats take on, they'll disrupt everything. But you've got to realize that the electorate don't. When you're on the ends, the outs tend to see things differently, and people are the disruptors are out there, and they're going to be needling the voters and saying, "Look, things aren't so good, and you're paying a little more for your Netflix, and you're paying a little more in the restaurants, and they'll rub a little iodine in the wounds." And so what the message has to be is, look, we need to restore the great inspiration that brought us into office in the first place. That there's with the Republicans, there's extraordinary hope, there's extraordinary opportunity when you unleash the great the winds of opportunity and capitalism and incentivism and the sources of the low taxes and deregulation that brought us into power, that unleashed the great economy of this great country, and that brought the forces of this America that abroad and at home, that this is a great future that we have ahead of us. And to look to the future, not into the past, not just protect what we had in the past, but to look to the future and then say that if we've got to present a program for the future as well as sustain what we had in the past. And I agree that the president has a great record, and he needs to tout the record, but we can't just lay everything at the feet of Joe Biden and what was wrong and what he did wrong.
Ken, the Republican House, with all due respect, needs to codify some of the president's policies. We're waiting.
That's right, and they can't be defensive about these things. They've got to look forward, and you've got to say, look, if we don't get these policies put into place, what you're gonna have is AOC and Maxine Waters and these lunatics on the left putting in these negative policies into place, and that these great opportunities that we had and we brought into office in 2024 are going to be lost forever. So that the message has to be looking forward and not just delving into the past. And I know that there's this great instinct on the part of the president and some of the Republicans to say to lay everything at the feet of Joe Biden, but you got to be moving forward and look at what's going to happen if you turn this country over to the Democrats. And the lawlessness they put into the streets, the lawlessness they put into the deep state, and what you described of what they're doing with Tulsi Gabbard. So I think there's some messaging issues that have to be looked at.
I agree. I mean, I think to a certain extent, President Trump finds himself in the position Reagan found himself. Reagan campaigned on and then passed a sweeping 3-year tax cut early in his term. The benefits of that tax cut, we went through a rough economic period. It really didn't kind of manifest itself fully until the third year of Reagan's term. And of course, by the fourth year of his first term, the economy was robust. So it is, and Trump has given us the greatest single tax cut in history. Up at that time, Reagan was the all-time champion. Before him, Kennedy. But overall, I think the backdrop for an election is very sound. Inflation is going to be low. If we get a non-political Federal Reserve Board that will finally give us the interest rate cuts that we have based on the inflation rate and the unemployment rate, instead of playing politics with the rate cut, the housing market, which is already experiencing some of the lowest mortgage rates in recent history is cooking right along. So I think the fundamentals, as they say, are very sound.
That's right. And if things change, it's going to stifle jobs. It's going to stifle opportunity. It's going to stifle growth. And then what the Democrats, they keep saying they want jobs. They want opportunity, but just the opposite will happen, because what they want more regulation. They want more taxes. And if that happens, that's just the opposite of what Americans want.
When they say they want more jobs, they want more government jobs. That's what they are really saying. It is there is no question whatsoever that the high tax policies of both Joe Biden and Jimmy Carter cratered our economy. So it is. I think the financial advantage is also extraordinary. And then I think, from a speech point of view, I think you'll share this. We have more talent in our surrogate lineup. I mean, you have Marco Rubio, you have Tulsi Gabbard, you have Scott Bessent, you have Bobby Kennedy. You have some great public servants here who really understand the president's message. And of course, I think I'm very impressed with J.D. Vance. I think, by definition, as you know, Ken, that's a behind-the-scenes role. You're not supposed to talk about what you do as vice president. You kind of quietly fix problems that the president or someone else helps you work on. But he's been a very effective vice president. He doesn't crow about his accomplishments, because that's, it's a second banana job. He understands that. He's the vice president.
You've touched on something I wanted to talk about too. Is that the administration needs to get its surrogates out there on the campaign trail. Now, Marco Rubio can't do a whole lot because the Secretary of State has to stay nonpartisan.
Yes.
In these midterm elections. But you've overlooked one great asset in this campaign is Brooke Rollins. Now, she is a great asset, and as Secretary of Agriculture, and she, we forget about Flyover America, Roger, in the great Midwest and the Plain States. Where there's a huge amount of Republican support, and in these purple vote areas, and Brooke Rollins is a great asset, and I've seen her speak. I've seen her on TV, and she's attractive. She's articulate, and she needs to be out there on our behalf, speaking in those demographic areas where her articulation of the president's policies would be critical, and she's another surrogate. I think we need to be out there on his behalf.
Ken, again, I want to recommend to people your book about your days counseling both Presidents Reagan and Nixon, and your historic role in Reagan's rise and helping Nixon deal with the aftermath of Watergate. Is an extraordinary chance to look inside the process. You kept diaries. This is there are very few political books that I read where I learn something, but I learned a lot in your book. I recommend you go to ReaganandNixon.com is the fastest way you can get this. Ken Khachigian's terrific book, Behind Closed Doors, In the Room with Presidents Reagan and Nixon, by Ken Khachigian. Ken, the man who made George Deukmejian governor. People don't realize he beat a sitting lieutenant governor, Mike Curb, in the Republican primary to then win the general election. You, my friend, are a genius.
Well, thanks a lot, Roger. And one other thing, I think, don't underestimate. I think the president should use the bully pulpit in this campaign as well, in this midterm election. He can articulate his message much more often, getting into that Oval Office and using that television, shaping that message. Where instead of those off-the-cuff White House press conferences, get in that bully pulpit and using it in that Oval Office message as much as he can.
I also think it's important that he meet regular citizens. When he's on the hustings, he meets people and he asks them what they think.
Yep.
Where you're in Washington, you're inside the bubble. So I think it has that added value, because then you get some feel for what people think.
Yep, those in the arena, Nixon did that, the in the arena meetings with average citizens and televised them would be great.
That's a great idea. That was Roger Ailes created the meeting in the arena. It was an amazing piece of television. Nixon really harnessed television. Destroyed Nixon's first bid for the presidency, but it made his second one, thanks to his mastering television with Roger Ailes, the legendary founder of Fox. You listen to the Roger Stone Show, Ken Khachigian's book, once again at ReaganandNixon.com. Check it out. One of the best political books that I have read. Been widely acclaimed. Still no review by the Washington Post. That's disgraceful. We'll be right back.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.